Hey everyone, it's Supreme Rejector and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving headfirst into the fascinating world of evolution. Now, evolution is one of those things, kind of like how gravity is a thing, that is a fundamental principle of biology. But unlike how gravity will make you hit the ground really hard if you forget about it, evolution is something people misunderstand all the time. And that's okay, because today we're going to clear up some of those misconceptions and explore what evolution actually is. We're going to be busting myths, looking at evidence, and getting our science on. Because here on this channel we're all about promoting clear thinking about science. So buckle up, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future science deep dives, and let's get right into it. Okay, let's get this one out of the way right off the bat because it comes up all the time. You'll hear people say, evolution is just a theory, right? But here's the thing, they're using the word theory like it means some kind of wild guess, like, oh, I have a theory about why my toast always lands butter side down. And listen, I'm here for your toast-related theories, but in science, theory has a very specific meaning. It's not just a hunch or an idea. A scientific theory is a well-substantiated explanation of some aspect of the natural world that's been repeatedly tested, confirmed, and is supported by a mountain of evidence. Think about it this way. Gravity is also a theory, the theory of general relativity to be precise. Now, you don't see people jumping off buildings claiming gravity is just a theory and hoping for the best, do you? Evolutionary theory, just like the theory of gravity, is supported by an overwhelming amount of evidence from multiple fields of science. We're talking fossils, genetics, comparative anatomy, embryology, the list goes on and on. It's like having a giant jigsaw puzzle. All these different pieces of evidence from different areas of science, they all fit together to create this incredibly clear picture of how life on Earth has changed over time. Think about fossils, right? We find fossils in layers of rock, the oldest ones way down deep, and the newer ones closer to the surface. And what we see is a progression of life forms from very simple organisms to increasingly complex ones. Then there's genetics. By comparing the DNA of different species, we can actually trace their evolutionary relationships. It's like building a family tree, but instead of tracing your great-aunt Susan, we're tracing the ancestry of all living things. And guess what? The genetic evidence lines up beautifully with the fossil record. And then there's comparative anatomy. We see homologous structures, which are body parts in different organisms that have similar underlying structures but might have different functions. Like your arm, a bat's wing, a whale's flipper. They all have the same basic bone structure, even though they're used for totally different things. Why would that be? Because they share a common ancestor. It's all connected, folks. This is another classic misconception. You'll hear people say things like, if we evolved from monkeys, then why are there still monkeys? But this misunderstands a really key point about evolution. It's not like some linear progression where one species magically transforms into another. Evolution is more like a branching tree, with different lineages splitting off and evolving along different paths. So, no, we didn't evolve from monkeys. Instead, humans and modern apes share a common ancestor. Imagine it like this, you and your cousin didn't evolve from each other, right? You share a common ancestor, your grandparents. It's the same thing with humans and apes. We're like cousins on the tree of life, sharing a common ancestor that lived millions of years ago. That ancestor wasn't a monkey or an ape as we know them today. It was its own distinct species that has since evolved and branched off into the diversity of primates we see today. And this is where phylogenetic trees come in. These trees, they're like family trees for species. They show the evolutionary relationships between different groups of organisms based on things like genetic data and shared characteristics. By studying these trees, we can trace the lineages of different species back in time and see where they converge at common ancestors. Think of it like this. Imagine a tree trunk representing the very first life forms on Earth. As time goes on, the trunk branches off, and each branch represents a new lineage. Some branches might stop growing, representing lineages that have gone extinct. Other branches keep branching out, representing lineages that continue to evolve and diversify. And somewhere along the way up in the canopy of this incredible tree of life, you've got humans on one branch and chimpanzees on another, both connected back to that common ancestor way down the trunk. It's a beautiful interconnected web of life, not a straight line. Okay, let's tackle this one head on because it's a misconception that just won't quit. People often think evolution means that life is constantly getting better or more complex over time, like it's all striving for some kind of ultimate perfection. But that's not how evolution works at all. Natural selection, the driving force of evolution, it doesn't have a goal in mind. It's not trying to create the most complex or the most intelligent or the most beautiful creatures. Natural selection is simply the process by which organisms with traits that make them better suited to their environment are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on those traits to their offspring. It's all about adaptation, not some predetermined path of progress. And guess what? Sometimes becoming simpler is actually more advantageous. Take parasites, for example. They often evolve to have simpler body plans than their free-living ancestors. Why? Because they can exploit their host's resources without needing all those extra bells and whistles. They've streamlined themselves for a very specific lifestyle. Think about it this way. A fish living in a dark cave might lose its eyes over generations because there's no selective pressure to maintain the ability to see. In that environment, eyes aren't beneficial. In fact, they might even make the fish more susceptible to injury or infection. So in this case, simplification is the name of the game. The key takeaway here is that evolution is not about progress or perfection, it's about adaptation to specific environments. And sometimes that means becoming more complex, sometimes it means becoming simpler, and sometimes it means staying pretty much the same for a really long time. It all depends on what works best for survival and reproduction in a given environment. Alright, this one might be a bit of a bummer for those of you hoping to develop telekinesis or superhuman strength through sheer willpower. I hate to break it to you, but you can't evolve superpowers during your lifetime. I know. Disappointing, right? But let me explain why. When we talk about evolution, we're talking about changes in the genetic makeup of populations over generations. It's not about individuals changing their genes during their lifetime. You inherit your genes from your parents, and those genes pretty much stay the same throughout your life. Now, don't get me wrong, individuals can definitely change over time. You can get taller, stronger, learn new skills, get totally ripped. But those changes are due to things like development, growth, and learning, not changes in your underlying genetic code. Those changes, they die with you. They're not passed on to your offspring. Think of it like this. If you work out really hard and build a ton of muscle, your kids won't be born looking like tiny bodybuilders. Why? Because the changes in your muscles are due to changes in how your genes are expressed, not changes in the genes themselves. This is where Lamarckism comes in. It was an early idea about evolution that suggested organisms could pass on traits they acquired during their lifetime to their offspring. The classic example is the giraffe stretching its neck to reach higher leaves, and then passing on that longer neck to its babies. But we now know that's not how inheritance works. Darwinian evolution, on the other hand, is all about variation within populations, and the inheritance of those variations. Individuals with traits that give them a survival or reproductive advantage are more likely to pass on those traits. It's a slow, gradual process that happens over many generations, not within a single lifetime. So there you have it, folks. We've debunked some of the most common myths about evolution, from the idea that it's just a theory, to the notion that humans evolved from monkeys. Spoiler alert, we didn't. We've seen that evolution is a beautifully complex process driven by natural selection, where organisms adapt to their environments over time. And while it might not grant you superpowers, understanding evolution gives you this amazing lens through which you can view the incredible diversity of life on Earth and appreciate how interconnected we all are. Remember, science is all about asking questions, seeking evidence, and being open to changing our minds when presented with new information. So keep questioning, keep learning, and keep exploring the wonders of the natural world. And never hesitate to challenge those misconceptions you come across, because clear thinking and critical analysis are more important than ever. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of evolution, hit that like button and subscribe for more science explanations and critical analysis. And let me know in the comments if you have any other burning questions about evolution or any other science topics you'd like me to cover. Until next time, stay curious.